Start first by giving all praise and glories unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Brakatah Yahweh, Brakatah Yahweh Shai, Brakatah Yahweh, Brakatah Yahweh Shai, Brakatah Yahweh, Brakatah Yahweh Shai, Call Halal Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone who rule well, and greetings, salutations, and blessings unto the house of David, the elect, those that will be delivered through salvation from the destruction that's coming to the world. Shalom. Hot topic. This should be a short lesson, but hot topic is this guy that's out there. He's on a Faithful to the Devil page, and I think he calls himself Jesus is the Word, right? Basically, this guy is low level. He's out there to try to debunk using a deep methodology, but basically just out there to debunk. And a lot of it's probably scaring a lot of you other Israelites because you guys haven't been schooled in the proper way to break this word down. Well, here at Great Millstone, the apostles, starting with Apostle Tahar on down, and our elders, they have thoroughly made sure that we're able to combat anybody with these scriptures. And what's funny is when you don't think you can combat them with scriptures, you probably could confound them with common sense. But that's just, that's just something else. But the point being, this guy's out there trying to debunk the Hebrew Israelites, and he had a video out there with a white man confronts or confounds IUIC or something like that. I forgot the name of the video. I watched most of the video, and something that the angle of this video that I'm going to make today is basically showing you that to get the full understanding out of this Bible, you have to jump around. Yeah, the way it's written, starting at Genesis through the laws of Moses, the prophets, and all of those books, and the Kings and Chronicles, and all of the Judges, and all of that, all the way up to the New Testament, and through the Apocrypha and all of that. Yeah, you can get something reading it like a love novel. You can get something out of it. But to get the full understanding of this book, you got to go deeper. You got to be able to jump around and put the pieces where they belong, for the breakdowns. Because the way this book is written, we're doing it that way, you can get a sense of what was going on in those time periods. And then you can, you should go back through history and try to link as much on the timeline of history as you can. Well, in this book, the way to get the full understanding of the prophecies and the things that's coming to relating to this time, you have to go back and forth in precept, and it's hard work. You have to do that. So that's what this is about, because you have to put something from Revelation into something from this book to something from that book, going into that word. You have to do that to get the full understanding out of this book. So that's pretty much what this is going to be about, that you do have to jump around and read precept upon precept. So first thing I'm gonna start with is, I'm gonna start with Isaiah. No, I'm not. I'm gonna start with this. This is actually out of in the Apocrypha. This is the prologue in Ecclesiasticus, the wisdom of, it says, Jesus, or Yahweh Shai, the son of Sirach. Now, there was many Yahweh Shais out there, man, Joshua's, and so on and so forth, you go back into their names. But there's only one Yahweh Shai, Hamashiach, or Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai, one anointed son. So don't get all simple right now, because if you go deeper, I think Hosea, or King, I don't worry about that part, but Joshua for sure, his name is also Yahweh Shai, and so you don't get all crazy trying to break this down. There's one that was the anointed, and there's one back then. So there were other people named that. Like there's not only one Michael Jackson, there's a bunch of Michael Jacksons or Michael Jordans. It's the same thing. Don't get simple. They're not the same person. Yahweh Shai Hamashiach is the Yahweh Shai, right? But in this book, the prologue, I'm gonna read what the uncertain author wrote, and then I'm gonna read what the prologue to the actual book says. Now I'm gonna jump down to Wisdom, it says, it's right here. It's further down. You can't call it, but further down it says, wisdom to have a greater love to study of this book. Let me go back. Yeah. I'm going to start. It says, wisdom intuitively, I can't say it, intuiting it both by his name, his father's name, and his grandfather's, alluring the hearer to the very same of the wisdom of the greater love of the study of this book. It containeth therefore wise sayings, dark sentences, and parables, and certain particular ancient godly stories of men that please the Most High God. Also, hitting this, and now it's funny, it's gonna tie this in, but that's the whole book of the Bible. So this is how you would treat the whole book of the Bible, right? Because this is contained in many books and all of that, right? Many great men that please the Most High God. Also, his prayer and song. Moreover, what benefits the Most High God had vouchsafed. When I looked up the word vouchsafe, just for further edification, because you got to do this to get the full meaning. Vouchsafe is give or grant something to someone in a gracious or condescending manner. Reveal or disclose information, which they both go, but reveal and disclose. Reveal. So it reveals more to you, through the graciousness of the Most High God. Like I said, through gracious or condescending, but this is gracious by having this on the earth for us. Anyway, it says, what benefits the Most High God had vouchsafed his people, had graciously revealed or disclosed, right? To his people, it says, and what plagues he had heaped upon their enemies, right? And it tells you about the book. But then jump over here, I'm going to jump to a point. It says, let me see if I can start out a period somewhere instead of in the middle of a sentence. No, I'm going to start right here. It says, to the intent that those which are desirous to learn, and that's key to this. If you really want to be deep in these scriptures, you got to go into these words. You got to go precept upon precept, putting these precepts together, these lines together, putting these words together to really get the full understanding, to know the time periods that go together, to know when it's talking about the same man and when it's not talking about the same man. Like I was saying earlier, Amos, prophet Amos, and then there was another Amos with a Z. You got to know the difference between some of those, that is the same person or that is not the same person. Habakkuk is in the Apocrypha, but and so is Nehemiah. But you got to know how to link those together. Anyway, but it takes a deep study to figure those things out through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. You can't just be like, well, this is somebody else, this is something different, or it's written in another language, so that ain't it. No, you got to put the information to it through the spirit of the Most High God. And that's what that guy, the word is, Jesus is the word, don't have. He doesn't have it. And the 2/3 don't have it either. So he, like I said, he could be an Edomite, he could be a 2/3. It really don't matter to me. He's all with the ones that ain't making it. And that's how I simplify it. He's just in one of those that ain't gonna make it, and he's gonna get destroyed in a very painful way for trying to push this word in a negative light on this word, trying to debunk the word. Now it says, to the intent that those which are desirous to learn, you have to first be desirous to learn, to want to go deeper into this stuff, so you can get the full understanding out of it, right? It says, and are addicted to these things, which profit much more the living according to the law. More in living according to the law, which profit more when you live into. The more you do, the more you do out of this book, the more comes to you in your life, the more revealed. If you're keeping the statutes, laws, and commandments to the best of your ability, it opens up a level of understanding for you. that you may not get if you're breaking the laws. Not that the law will save you, because faith is what will save you, and if you're chosen, right? It says, wherefore, let me entreat you to read it with favor and attention. Favor and attention, paying close attention to it, looking up stuff, finding the meaning of it. It says, and to pardon us wherein we may seem to have come short of some words, which we have labored to interpret. For the same things uttered in Hebrew and translated in another tongue, Greek and Latin, and even down to English, so have not the same force in them, meaning that the same level of meaning in these things. If you don't go deep back into the Hebrew, breaking these words down, into the Greek to get the original intent of the word, because English doesn't always have the original intent, and it just gets as close as it possibly can. The way this bastard tongue is written, talking about English, it's hard to get the full understanding of it if you only have that one level. So that's why you should labor to go deeper into the study. But you have to have, like I said, you have to be addicted and desirous to learn. It says, which, hey, if you are desirous and addicted to this thing, or if you're not, you shouldn't be in great millstone, because that's what's required of you. To be, you should be addicted to this word. You should be desirous to learn through this word and from the men that teach this word. It says, and translate into another tongue have not the same force in them. And not only these things, but the law itself and the prophets and the rest of the books, the entire Bible. Right? Said, have no small difference, for they have spoken in their own language. For they have spoken it in their own language, which may have more force, but you translate it the best you can with the best words possible. Now, that being read, let's get into these other scripts. I'm going to start with Isaiah chapter 28, something that he went to and tried to debunk. So what is this written for? The question is, what is Isaiah 28 starting at 9 or even 10? What is that written for? Why, if you're just going to completely throw that out about you can't read the book like that, what is that for? He said, yeah, it's talking about the tribes and what was the point that he was trying to make of it? Basically, the context of it. The context doesn't supersede the meaning of a precept or a line. You have it's written this way for a reason. The reason it's written this way is so it stands the test of time. Because if you devils knew the way to puzzle this Bible together, you would have been destroyed this whole book. You would have never left it upon the earth. That's why the Most High did it. And plus, them lazy Israelites out there that don't want to really labor and don't have an addiction and a true affection for this word, it's not for you to get the deep breakdowns. It's for those that's really going out there diligently seeking the Heavenly Father. Like it says in, I'm going to just get it since I didn't even write it down, did I? But I'm going to just get it now and then I'll go back. This is the book of James, chapter, no. Sucks a lot. 2 Timothy. 2 Timothy chapter 2. I write that down. I don't know why I didn't, but it should have been. Anyway, it's 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15. I think the guy actually quoted this one, which this also goes with that one. It says, study to show thyself approved. This is 2 Timothy 2 and 15. Study to show thyself approved unto the Most High God, Yahweh, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Right? Did I really want that one anyway? Yeah, that's what I want. Rightly dividing the word of truth. Study to show thyself approved, not unto this guy, not unto that guy, unto the Most High God. And if the Spirit's dealing with you, it'll give you the way to precept this Bible together. Like what the apostles have done, it's like an algebra equation. I always use a moth or math, which the word of moth in the Hebrew means truth, which the word math comes from, mathematics come from. It's like an algebra problem, right? X plus Y equals Z, right? Well, if you start plugging in what X is or Z is, you start putting in a few of those in there, now you can figure out the problem in any equation. Well, that's what they've done. They showed us the key to what X, Y, and Z equals. And now we can plug in wherever X, Y, and Z is at, and we can get the full understanding of what this book is talking about under any problem, with any numbers, you know? That's what the apostles have given us. Not just we're not parrots from one west just regurgitating what we've heard, you know? We're actually able to see this thing, you know? It says, Isaiah 28, and I'm going to start at verse 9. It says, whom shall he teach knowledge, and whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. Knowing the purpose of the book being written like this, and why precept upon precept, like it's about to say, makes so much sense. It makes so much sense because, for one, the devil, like I said, the devil would have destroyed the whole book. The other side of it is, so it can make sense into these times, because this Bible was written over 2,000 thousands of years ago. The latest parts written over 2,000 or around 2,000, maybe a little less than that years ago. You know, so it's important that you're able to take that. So how great is a book written? How great is the author, which is Yahweh? How great is that author to be able to write a book that stands the test of time for thousands to creation, all the way till now, or since the stone tablets till now with Moses under Sinai, since this was put on paper, all the way up until now. That's an amazing author, you know, that can declare the end from the beginning. You know, for you that know that. It says, verse 10, here's the point. For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept. You can't throw this out the Bible, which is pretty much what he tried to do when those brothers at IUIC said that. You know, when they brought this up. You can't dismiss this part of the book. This applies somewhere. Where else would it apply? It applies with how you break this Bible down. Is it the only way to understand the Bible? No. But to get the full understanding, you have to add this part. This has to happen this way. It says, for precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little. Right now, I'm going to jump down to, because he brought this up, verse 13. It says, but the word of the Lord Yahweh was unto them precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little. That they might go and fall backward and be broken, snared, and taken. Why? Because it was not meant for them to understand this book yet. Or it wasn't meant for them to understand it at all. Because there were seals on this book where the understanding wouldn't come out. Right? And we're going to jump over to that. Where did I want to go next? 29? Yes. Let me see. Yeah. Isaiah 29 and 9. Matter of fact, 29 and 9. It says, stay yourselves and wonder. Cry ye out and cry. They are drunken, but not with wine. They stagger, but not with strong drink. What are they drunken and staggering over? To understanding of this word. You know, it says, verse 10, for the Lord Yahweh hath poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep. So not only did he write it in this mystery puzzle book, but he also poured out deep sleep upon you to where you wouldn't be able to break it down yet. Right? Until he opened up the seals. And the seals is how he is how this is put together, so you can't get it. So when the Spirit was opened up unto you, the seals were opened up, and the Spirit was given unto the men of the Lord to break it down, we will be able to see it crystal clear like we do now. Right? Because now's the time that and I'm going to get into that now's the time that the seals will be open. It says, and had closed your eyes, the prophets and your rulers, the seers have he covered. That's why no one has broken this book down properly since it was written until the late 60s, when the seals were being opened. And even the deeper stuff, even later on into the 1900s, later on the end of the 1900s into the 2000s, right? It says, verse 11, it says, and the vision of all is become unto you as the words of a book that is sealed. So you can't understand it because it's like the book is closed. You can't read them to interpret what it means because it's sealed, which men deliver to one that is learned, saying, read this, I pray thee. Yeah, they went to the scholars. They went to all the to the wise men. They went to the priests. They went to the seers of that time, right? If there were seers in the time that this was written, you know, or the time that they're referring to in this, right? It says, read this, I pray thee. And he saith, I cannot, for it is sealed. And the book is delivered to him that is not learned, saying, read this, I pray thee. And he saith, I am not learned. So he couldn't break it down. They couldn't get it. They couldn't get the understanding of this book. Let me see. Yeah, and this is why. It says, wherefore the Lord Yahweh said, for as much as this people draw near me with their mouth and with their lips do honor me, but have removed their heart far from me, they don't understand the ways of the Lord, because that's why he closed their eyes and put them in a spirit of deep sleep, you know, and he took his spirit from us, that we were left out there without nothing, you know. That's for the Israelites. You know, all the 12 tribes. He took that away from us. Now he's only dealing with his elect right now. You know, it says, and their fear toward me is taught by the precepts of men. The fear of the Most High is taught by the precepts of men, which ain't enough. You know, verse 14 said, therefore, behold, I will proceed to do a marvelous work among this people, even a marvelous work and a wonder. For the wisdom of their wise men shall perish, and the understanding of their prudent men shall be hid. And he hid it because the real wisdom is in this book, but now those men can't understand this book. Now those men can't break it down and tell you what's going on. So now I'm going to go to, verse 18, jump down to verse 18. It says, and in that day shall the deaf hear the words of the book, and the eyes of the blind shall see out of obscurity and out of darkness. It says, the meek also shall increase their joy in the Lord, and the poor among men shall rejoice in the Holy One of Israel. Yeah, because when the seals are open, we'll be able to understand this thing. Now I'm going to jump over to Isaiah 32. Matter of fact, before I go too far, no, I'm cool. Isaiah 32, it says, in 3, verse 3, it says, and the eyes of them that see shall not be dim. Meaning they'll have clear sight on what the meaning of this book is talking about. And the ears of them that hear shall hearken. You'll be able to understand the words, the full understanding of seeing and hearing, right? It says, the heart also of the rash shall understand knowledge, and the tongue of the stammerers shall be ready to speak plainly. You'll be able to break it down in layman's terms because they fully understand it. And that's what the men of the Lord do out there on the street. They break it down to you in layman's terms. Right? So that the average man can understand it and can get this message of this word. Now I'm going to hit a couple other precepts. Isaiah chapter 6. I'm sure you brothers know these scriptures. Isaiah chapter 6, starting at verse 9, it says, and he said, go and tell this people, hear ye indeed, but understand not, and see ye indeed, but perceive not. Make the heart of this people fat, and make their ears heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they see with their eyes, the seals of these individuals of his elect be opened, right? Lest they see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, which is their mind, and convert and be healed. And convert and be healed, right? Why? Because the seals are open. You can get the messages and the information out of this book. The better ways of living through the laws, the prophecies, you know, who we are, and so on and so forth out of this book, right? Okay, yeah, we're going to go to this. We went to this yesterday at camp. This is Isaiah chapter 8. I'm going to start at verse 14. That's where I started at. Yep, verse 14, it says, sanctify the Lord Yahweh of hosts himself, and let him be your fear, and let him be your dread. Oh, this is 13. 14 says, and he shall be for a sanctuary, but for a stone, he shall be for a sanctuary, but for a stone of stumbling and for a rock of offense to both the houses of Israel. Yeah, because it's going to trip us up because we're not going to understand or see. And it's going to be a stone of offense and a rock, a rock of offense and a stone of stumbling unto the house, both houses of Israel, the northern and the southern kingdom, for a gin and for a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. It said, and many among them shall stumble and fall and be broken and be snared and be taken by what? By the people that still was trying to push this word, lying and putting off false divination out of this book, because the seals wasn't open, nor were they open up to the heathen. They were only open up to the elect men. That's why there's a new understanding, so to speak, that's out there of this Bible. That's what this Israelite movement, as you want to call it, is so powerful nowadays, and it's what you've never heard. Matter of fact, before I go too far, let me go to the book of Daniel, because it's going to say a bunch in here. Book of Daniel, chapter 12. I'm going to start at verse 1. It says, no, verse, I'm gonna say it. It says, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to the same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book, in this book of life. And those same people that's written in this book are the same ones that will get the understanding out of this book, that the eyes will be open and the seal will be open unto them. Right? Jump down to verse 4. I'm gonna read down. It says, and many of them shall sleep in the dust of the earth, shall awake. Why? Because the seal has been opened, because the time of the revealing or revelation is now. That's why there's so many Negro Latinos and Native Americans starting to wake up to this thing. You know, that's why these breakdowns are coming to life, because like the mark of the beast being one of those prophecies that you can see opening up with the RFID chip. It's in reality, it's that time that the seals are opened. You know, that revelation has come to life with that RFID chip from Revelation the 13th chapter. It's now able to be seen, because now's that time, because that one's being revealed. Right? It says, let me read. It said, and many of them shall sleep in the dust of the earth and shall awake, some to everlasting life and some to shame and everlasting contempt. Those that fall out. It says, and they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. Right? The elect. It says, verse 4, here's a point. It says, but thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and in knowledge shall be increased. The thing that a lot of people don't understand is a lot of the history that had to happen, it had to happen for this to be understood, because it was a mystery, and there was no reality to it before it actually took place on the earth. So when you describing a missile, you can't understand what a missile's like, because there's nothing before it that was like that. That there's no word for something like that. The closest that they can get to that was an arrow or a glittering spear. You know, that's the closest that they could describe something like that. But now that there's ICBM missiles shot from one end to the earth to the other, just like they said an arrow would be shot like that, now it's being revealed, because those seals are open and those things have to take place, and now he's coming back to deal with us and opening up the seals of our mind as well. Right? Now, I'm going to jump down. No, I'm not. I'm going to just go back. I'm going to just keep this concise as possible. I ran on a little bit already. I'm going to go to Revelation chapter 5. Yep. Revelation chapter 5. I'm going to start at 1. And I'm going to jump down and jump through it. It says, Revelation 5:1 says, and I saw in the right hand of him that sat on the throne a book written within it and on the backside sealed with 7 seals. Right? That's the Most High with the book of the Lord, right? It says, and I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, who is worthy to open the book and to loose the seals thereof? Well, time had to do it, but the Most High had to put the Spirit in his chosen, in his elect that he gave to Yahweh Shai to be able to understand this book. Right? It says, and no man in heaven, nor in earth, neither under the earth, was able to open the book, neither to look thereon. So Nostradamus didn't have it because the seals wasn't open for Nostradamus. You know, he could have read the book and put something of his own thoughts together, but it wasn't open unto him at the time that Nostradamus was upon the earth. It says, where we at? But then the time after Yahweh Shai, let me see. Let me jump down to verse, what did I write in here? Yes, verse 9. Yep. Verse 9, it says, verse 9 says, and they sung a new song. And that new song is the proper breakdown through the Spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai that this book is now interpreted with. We don't have to throw out scriptures like Isaiah 28 and only go with 2 Timothy 2 and 15. We don't have to, because this guy goes into the Septuagint, but he don't even understand what he's really going into. What he's using to debunk what the brothers was talking about was something that was added on, an addendum onto the authors or whoever was translated into that, what they put in there for their own thoughts. That's not the word. You don't have to put an addendum on the word to what somebody else's interpretation. And they went off on, now sometimes those may help, but the like the one I read in Sirach, yeah, that was put in there, but it makes sense to the way you read this book. That what they wrote in there, that doesn't make no sense because that was 2 different people at 2 different time periods, you know, or at least 2 different people, but I believe it's at 2 different time periods. And for the simple, that'll work against the simple. That ain't gonna work against the real men of the Lord, man. That ain't gonna work against most of us here at Great Millstone, you know. Starting with the apostles on down, that's not gonna work with them. They're gonna see through the angle that you're trying to play because we are taught over here to study all angles, man. To make our calling and election sure, to make sure nobody can confound this thing, you know, because it's not written to be confounded. So we have to find every angle of this to where it can't be, or you can't confound us. Well, being able to read precept upon precept, line upon line, so on and so forth, is the way that you get the deeper breakdowns of this book, man. The deeper understanding of this book, of who it's pertaining to, who it's talking to, until you get the spirit of this book. Once you got the spirit of this book, everything seems to open up. You can understand this whole book. But those seals have to be opened first. You know, and that's what back with Daniel, it was saying the angel told Daniel to seal up the book. Right? Now, let me go back. Revelation 5 and 9. And they sung a new song, a new breakdown, not from just what it said like a love novel, but reading it the right way with things being revealed in this time. The white man showing who he is with all his wickedness when the book was closed. The Most High coming back to deal with us. His chosen starting to wake up, you know, from the late 60s on all the way on down. It says, saying, thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof, for thou wast slain and has redeemed us to the Most High by the blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation. Now, that's not talking about every other heathen, man. That's talking about Israelites scattered amongst the heathen still. You know, if you need that breakdown, hey, man, this ain't the video for that. You know, click on another video. We have thoroughly broken that down throughout Great Millstone, man. That is thoroughly broken down. It says, verse 10, it says, and has made us unto our power kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. And we're going to reign on the earth under Yahweh Shai, under King David, man, on the earth. Now, I want to also get Revelation 7. Yes, 7 and 4. It says, and I heard the number of them which were sealed right? Those that were sealed to break the seals of the book and were sealed to understand this book, and that were sealed to escape destruction, right? And there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. That's the elect, the 144,000, right? The chosen, right? But then there's also a 1/3, a remnant that will be also. And you can go into Zechariah the 13th chapter to understand that. But I want to go to Revelation 10 and 7. Yeah, it says, "But in the days of the voice of the seventh angel," right, "when he shall begin to sound, the mystery of the Most High should be finished." Yeah, and that's that. We're in that time now that the seventh angel has blown the seventh trumpet. The seventh seal has been opened. You know, we're at that time where all of this is happening now, to where we can get the full understanding of what this book is talking about. And soon, the average person upon the earth will be able to see clearly what we're talking about. But if they didn't have faith and they took too long to try to get into those doors of mercy, hey, you missed it, man. You got to deal with that. You know, it says, the mystery of the Most High should be finished, as he had declared to his servants the prophets. He revealed his secrets unto his servants the prophets, man. And this is his secrets, the understanding out of this book. We're able to understand this book because he opened the seals thereof for us to get it. You know, so if you can't get it because you don't know how to go precept upon precept, line upon line, it's the Spirit that guides you to go precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little. You know? The Spirit of Yahweh Shemel Shai that does that. You're probably still thinking about Jesus, man. Jesus is old news, man. That's why you got to go into these other languages to get the deeper meaning. You got to go into the meaning of words to get the deeper meaning of the original Hebrew and Greek words and in Latin words even. And the etymology of words. You have to go into all these things to get the deeper understanding out of this book. When you don't, you miss the book, man. You miss the real truth out of this book. You know, but you people are lazy. That's why I read the script in Isaiah 29. They draw near me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. Yeah, you say you love God, but you ain't willing to put the work in to understand why Yahweh Shai, what they're talking about in their book. And this is a book upon the earth with the information age of the internet. You can Google everything. You ain't gotta carry books like our apostles did. Carry the books down to the library and break it down and try to see if I can check out this scroll and so on and so forth. You know, if they won't let this book leave the library, you can't make copies, but you can read it you got 5 minutes at a time to read it, man. You know? So with that, man, if you don't understand it from there, I don't know what to tell you. The way to break this book down is to go precept upon precept and to study these words, you know, into the ancient languages, the Hebrew and the Greek that this is written in, to get the full meaning and understanding of it. But the Spirit has to be dealing with you, so it would stand the test of time and would trap up all those other people that was half-assing with it, man. Because if you guys if you half-assers, man, had this book, you would pervert it, man. You would abuse it on a harsh level, and there would be nothing special to the real men of the Lord out there. You know, and that's the difference. So IUIC, man, get your game up, man. I'm gonna tell you, this low-level dude shouldn't be confounding y'all. I'm gonna watch in the video to make sure that happened, but you shouldn't be able to entitle a video that y'all got confounded, man. Y'all need to get into that Hebrew and the Greek, quit that Christ shit, man, and get into that Hebrew to get the full meaning of this thing. Quit following after your damn puppet master, because he's running you niggas like it ain't nothing, man. And get into these words on the real deep level. You have to love this thing. You have to be addicted to this thing to really desire to go that deep into it. It's just salvation. You guys don't believe in salvation? You don't think nothing bad's coming? You don't see World War III and the breakdown of that happening? Because the seal of that's open also. World War III. So what are you waiting for? So with that, man, I'm going to close out, man. All praise and glories unto Yahweh Bashim Shai, Brakatah Yahweh, Brakatah Yahweh Shai, Call Halal Yahweh Bashim Shai. Double honor to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone who taught us this truth and how to break this thing down the right way. Greetings, salutations, and blessings unto the hopeful elect and those that will be chosen for salvation. during the coming destruction. That we say shalom.